Alrighty, hello everyone, this is Alan from mysteryandtg.com. I just finished work and stumbled across the newly uploaded video from the command zone where Josh is sitting with the professor, Brian, and they're having a conversation. And I could not control my anger towards the middle part of this video. It is insane to me. And wait, before we get into that, this is about the video that they had recently released about the bands. And during that, Josh is talking to Rachel, and he mentions that the core issue is what people are angry about. We have to also realize that that's an important part of how we got here. Of course, death threats are bad. Of course, harassment is bad, and those people should be dealt with. And 10 times, 20 times during the video, he makes it very clear that he thinks those people should be in trouble and that they're assholes. They don't belong in the community. He stated that matter-of-factly. And then I see this video and I see the professor acting like Big Daddy or Big Brother, talking down to Josh. At some point in the video, in the very beginning of the video, he says, "Do you think at some point you're victim blaming?" And Josh says, "Well, yeah." And then the professor says, yeah, reaffirming the fact that I guess the professor had a conversation with him, and probably members of the RC and people he had once considered peers or known, pretty closely. They felt attacked probably and agitated, but at the end of the day, everything Josh said was correct. Every single comment on the video, every single post on Facebook, every single post on Discord, all of the discourse, I think the majority of people agreed 90% with what Josh was saying, that the core issue is what people on Twitter weren't focusing about, what the minority of influencers and people directly related to WotC were not focusing about. They were focusing on the harassment, which he stated multiple times is not good. Obviously, those people should be in trouble. But at the same time, we have to give credit to the core issue and look at that and say, why did this happen? That was his entire point. His entire point was that the RC had known this was a bad idea, had been told by members of WotC that this was not going to be a good thing for them, had not consulted the CAG, and basically seems like they were in their own little bubble, doing whatever the hell they wanted because they thought that was best for Commander, which is a format not driven by data. And so how do you know what's best for Commander? It's by sentiment. And where does their sentiment comes from? It comes from their local pods. And their pods are obviously filled with a bunch of influencers and people who don't go to their LGS every week. So to have Josh, who is very in tune with the community, sit there, belittled, being talked down to by the professor, because that's what it looked like. I'm sorry, Brian. I love 99% of your videos, but in this, I've lost half my respect or more for you. Not everything, because he's a staple to the community, but I've lost so much respect for you. It's very obvious that your friends are probably in positions of power, and Josh, who is also a friend, made a video that made them uncomfortable. And the world we live in now, where when you make someone uncomfortable or you call them out for their BS and they can point to you and say, you're victim blaming. What the F are you talking about? At any point in that video, did Josh say they deserve the harassment? They deserve the threats? Did he say that? Do we understand the meaning of victim blaming? There was a core issue here. They made a bad decision. You can say the result of this was bad, but the road that got us here was justified, that the actions taken were wrong, and that, of course there was consequence to that, and a lot of that consequence wasn't justified. But to go to Josh and have this video with Big Brother, Big Daddy, whatever you want to call it, it's the most uncomfortable video I've ever watched in my entire life. To see someone who was vocal for the community, who the majority would agree, sorry, the professor, who is a better voice for Commander than the professor, get talked down to, I guess shamed into disagreeing with the people who follow him. And you look at the comments, and you look at the Facebook comments, no one is a fan of this. No one thought, Josh better make a video or we're gonna stop supporting him. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is the kind of Twitter BS, the influencers, and I'm talking to all of you, even the guys who run spike feeders and those guys, They act as if they are the point men for everything related to Magic, that their opinions are king, and if you don't agree with it, you're a child playing a child's card game, quote unquote, from themselves. These are what these people were typing on Twitter, by the way. They don't love you. They don't like you. They don't care about the community. These guys make money from this stuff, right? It is so sickening that they put Josh in it, because I can tell. You watch that video. Look at his demeanor. Listen to the way he's talking. Do you think this was of his own choice? Genuinely go give it another watch. This guy was shamed into this, and that's my opinion, but I can give my opinion because Magic has a ton of different opinions in it. It's a game where we gather and we talk. And during those conversations, there are conflicting viewpoints. If at any point Josh had said, Olivia deserved this, or LePage deserved this, then yes, he is being a toxic person. And you can say victim blaming and whatever you want to say. Sure, it might apply in that case. But to say that this guy who was pointing out that they had fumbled the ball and that's what this all stems from, and of course the reaction they would have told them was going to be awful, and of course it was awful, and everyone knew it was going to be awful, except for the people who are in their own bubbles and too naive to understand that. What are we not understanding here? You made a bad decision. People got scammed. That's what it felt like to them when they bought the Festival of Ox, which none of you have talked about. The fact that these were cards printed in a product which previously had a Chaos Draft and previously had completely different contents, and this time it was a CMM, an LCI, and a Wildzilla Drain Collector Pack. And of course, the two Chase Mythics that, of course, influence the price. Now we can see the secondary market price of those products have fallen because the Chase Mythics were banned. And people lost a ton of money. And people had their favorite decks, and they had to change those favorite decks with no warning, with no potential of knowing that, hey, this $270 I'm going to spend is going to be impacted by this. These decks that I'm building are going to be impacted by this. I spent $1,000 last week on 2 Mana Crypts and a Jeweled Lotus, and you've destroyed their faith in the RC, whatever fake establishment that was. And I'm sorry, I'm getting frustrated here, right? So I'll tone it down a little bit at this point. I trust that Gavin Verhey, and because the design team for Wizards is the one that's handling Commander going forward, I trust that they have the best intentions. I trust that Brian cares about his friends, and that Josh cares about his community, and he also cares about other people. Do not walk back the comments that you probably still 100% agree with. You lose. People look at you, and in my opinion, I look at Josh as this light, this person who really genuinely understands Commander players. Professor, you're entertaining. Brian's entertaining. He's not that. You were never that, right? In some videos, I find you very relatable, but it's all very scripted. And it's very scripted, and for good reason. I mean, Brian has said it himself. It's not scripted. It's hard for him. I understand. But when Josh is unscripted, I mean, he's singing a melody, and all of it's just stuff that the people like me who play Commander multiple times a week, and our pods, and our groups, and our Discord with 1,000 people, and our Facebook pages with thousands of people, they largely agree with his sentiment because he understands. He gets it. Now, the thing at the end of the day is that Commander is a diverse format. It's played by many different people. You have people who love slow games. You have people who love fast games. There's a ton of different things here, and that's fine. It's not a data-driven format. It's really hard to understand what people like, what people don't like, what's being run, what's not being run, because there's no data, right? So, or very little data. So my whole point in this is, what a disgustingly bad video. What a terrible video. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate what it stands for. I hate the fact that, maybe Josh wanted to do this as a kind of sorry, or maybe he does actually regret what he said. That's possible, right? But I watched that video. I see the way this guy's talking. I see the way that the professor is holding a holier-than-thou sort of view, and I hate it. I hate everything about it. I wish this video was never made. And, it's a testament to the fact that these people that are influencers and on Twitter and in their own bubbles, they don't know what's going on. They have no idea. They're on Twitter, with their 4,000 or 5,000 followers or 60,000 followers or 100,000 followers, and they think that they really know everything about the game and the communities, and they make these posts and they reply to comments very aggressively, and they take what people are saying and they push them to the bottom, and they call them harassers, and they call them all these things, when in fact these people were hurt financially. They were hurt, deeply by what happened, because these were cards that no one knew were going to get banned, and these are staples that some people have had in their decks for years and years and years, and then suddenly you tell them, well, no, we don't want you to have that in your deck anymore. And you can say that people don't have to follow the RC rules, but we've had multiple cases in our store where people will try to play a card and everyone will say, that's banned, no, blah, 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 blah. And it creates all these arguments in this Discord, and it's just annoying. It's frustrating. It's stressful. Yes, you can rule 0, but when you have that in place for cards that a lot of people had in most of their decks, or in, 40% of their decks, and some people don't want to take it out, some people have already taken it out, it just gets complicated, okay? This whole situation sucks, but the RC fumbled the ball. Every single member should absolutely understand that you don't ever deserve to be harassed. Never. Not in a million years. You don't deserve to get death threats. You don't deserve any of that. But what you do deserve is at least the understanding that you made a mistake and you did it the wrong way and you hurt Magic players. And there should be an apology at some point, right? That's never happened. In fact, looks like a lot of the sympathy went to the members of the RC, including Jim LePage, who I find made a lot of these mess ups, in my opinion. If you're going to put the blame on, he made a post saying, yeah, the blame should be put on me. And yeah, I can see that being the case here. But I think we all should move past this, but I'm just going to say, what a terrible video. And I really don't like the fact that it's this holier-than-thou perspective from the professor. Not with Josh. Do it with other people. Sure, I'll believe you. Not with Josh. That's all I can say. I'm just frustrated. I hate that video. Hate it so much. We have a video coming out soon about a foiled robbery and a sting operation, which will be super interesting. We're working on that now, and I hope you guys give it a watch. Subscribe and like the video if you enjoy, and if you want not similar content like this, because I'm not going to be releasing stuff like this that much. I don't like negative content. I try not to post it too much. But yeah, when I'm frustrated, I'm frustrated. There's nothing I can do about that. So, hope you guys have a good night. Here in South Korea, it is getting a little chilly. I hope it's not too bad where you are. And if you're in Florida, thoughts and prayers. I'll see you guys next time. Alan for MysteryMTG.com. Bye-bye.